The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 182.
182.
What's our topic today?
This is Perfection is a Myth.
Yeah.
It is.
Faux
though.
show.
Yeah. And an illusion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Well, before we talk about that, anything you want to share from last week?
Yes. So last week we did Why is Spiritual Growth So Hard? And Crystal, she said this. She said, I was wondering about higher self being available after reincarnation. Also, I love the comparison of our souls being together at one time, like the continents, and then branching off. Thank you for answering my questions this week, because we had answered both of our questions. Yeah.
Thanks, Crystal.
Yeah, thanks, Crystal. You're very, very welcome for that. Your questions are great. And I love sometimes the way that the other side tries to help me to understand certain things is they do that, like how the continents broke. They showed me the continents breaking apart. And it's kind of, like a metaphor or whatever. And I have to kind of figure out what they're trying to say. But it does help me to understand things better when they do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
I preferred the dumbed down version myself.
Yes, the spirituality for dummies. It's very helpful. And then I had done a reading for Tracy, and Tracy was reconnected with her father that she didn't know was her father, something along those lines. Okay. She says, Hi, Samantha. You did a medium reading for me on your show connecting to my biological brother, Casey, who died from a drug overdose before I met him. It was so powerful to hear those words from him and to feel how true they were. It has taken me some time to process, but I do intend to come back around and ask for additional reading to dive a little deeper into our relationship. Thank you for doing that. It has made a profound impact on my life. There were a lot of things that were said during that reading that when they're coming into me and coming out of my mouth, I'm going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. Because these are personal things that can be really heavy to take.
Yeah.
But I've been through similar situation because I too didn't know my father until recently. So I feel a connection to her on this and how you don't know the truth about your past and all of that. And so to have a spirit come forward and say some pretty personal things, it was quite intimidating for me even, you know.
It was cool though. It was good.
Yeah, it was a good reading. So I'm glad that it resonated for you, Tracy. And whenever you want to delve more into that, I'm here and ready for you.
Yeah, thanks for letting us share that here, Tracy. That
yes, thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
Cool.
And then every week we answer 2 questions. This first one is from Panapat. She says, can we still manifest and use the law of attraction if we aren't healed from childhood traumas, for example?
Absolutely.
Anybody can, yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I thought, well, because you even said, are we really ever totally healed? And it's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, the scar is always there.
Yeah.
So you're not 100% back to the way you were before.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is if you're not working to heal yourself, then you may manifest the wrong things, or it may just take you longer.
Yes. Manifestation is easier when you're on the right spiritual path and when your vibration is high. And so if you're denying things about yourself, about your past, or whatever is causing you to not deal with the childhood trauma, then definitely I could see it stagnating you. But I really, truly feel like even with the childhood trauma, unless you didn't have much of it, you may never totally deal with all of it.
Right.
I'm still dealing with things that sometimes I'm like, really? Right. I have to go back and deal with this now? And it's intimidating and it's tough, but it really does help you to learn about yourself. But I wouldn't say that if while I'm going through that or anything that I can't manifest as well or anything, I've never noticed that. As long as you're working towards, whatever it is you're working towards and your vibration's high, you should be able to manifest with no problem. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
You have anything
Thanks,
else you wanted
Pat.
to add?
No,
Okay.
good question, though.
Yes, it was a great question. Thank you. And then from Serena, she says, if we choose to make a bad decision in this life, is that something that the universe already knew would happen? Is that part of our life plan, or does that throw a whole trajectory of our life plan off? Hope that makes sense. Personally, I think that they know that we're being faced in any situation with a decision. Where whatever we're going through, whatever kind of decision it is, there's always more than one way that we can take.
Yes.
There's the right way and there's the wrong way.
Yep.
And they know, usually I feel they know which way that we're going to choose before we even choose it. But if it's the wrong way, they will do everything that they possibly can to push us in the right direction. So I do think that they know.
They adjust accordingly.
Yes.
I believe.
That was the next thing I was going to say, is that if, when things need to be adjusted because that's not the way they were supposed to go, then yes, they can be adjusted, rerouted, or whatever. Things can change. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And got anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that's really true. I mean, there is multiple choices.
Yeah.
And if you do make that choice, it doesn't mean like the door's slammed on you for good. You're cut off, you're shut out. No, it doesn't. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
At least as far as I'm concerned and the way I believe. Is it predetermined what choice you'll make before you ever make it? Well, I don't really know, because if there's a multitude of choices, or just right and wrong for that matter.
Yeah.
How is it all predetermined?
Right.
That would be like every step that you made. I know everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I say that sometimes very detailed oriented, I guess, in a way, and then sometimes very general.
Yeah.
Because I do have faith that there is a plan for me per se, just like there's a plan for you.
Yes.
And there's a plan for so-and-so and so-and-so and so. But that's a lot to keep track of like predetermining anything, especially when there's free will and choices involved. I just believe that they work accordingly.
Yeah.
They adjust accordingly to what our decision is. And if it, again, is the wrong choice for our best interests, then there'll be other choices put in front of you to get you off that path. I think.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about this, that as a psychic, this is something that I work on a lot of times, is that whether it's a spirit reading or a psychic reading, I will get things about people and their life. And let's say that I get something that, like it's not a good thing and that they can change. The universe will actually instruct me on how to help them to choose the right path if they're going to choose the wrong path. Mm-hmm. That's something that I've had a lot of psychic readings in my life, and I can't tell you that I've ever really had anybody that's done that. And so when I do these readings, I don't just want to tell people like this is the way it's going to be, because it doesn't have to be that way. We can change to the correct path at any time. So that's something that I love about my job, is that I am able to help people to try and get them on the right path, because it isn't always easy to see what the right way is.
Yeah. No, it's not.
It's very difficult. Yeah, for sure. So I hope that answers your question, Serena.
Thank you, Serena. That was a good question.
Yes, thank you. And then let's do the reading. We do one reading every week. This is from Shannon. She says, "This is Waylon. We are hoping to make him part of our family this Sunday. Do you think he'd be a good fit? We'd be a good fit for him and him for us. I'm mostly worried about my dog Daisy. She's very sweet, but has food toy aggression with her fur siblings. Daisy starts obedience training with a professional trainer on Monday. She is very nice and gentle with them otherwise. Please and thank you so much." So you guys might remember Shannon and Daisy. I've worked with them before on the show. about Daisy's food aggression issue,
Yeah.
and have just done telepathically. We had solved this problem for the most part. I haven't had an update in a while, but sometimes they regress. So maybe we're regressing, or maybe she's just worried about that this is going to happen with a new dog. So I'm going to talk to Waylon and give you also my intuitive feelings on the situation. But I do feel like he would be a good match for your family. There is one thing that he has got a lot of energy. He's very, very full of energy. So you're going to have to exercise this one a lot. I can also see some destructive behaviors, tearing apart things like paper materials, like toilet paper, magazines, those types of things you're going to want to keep out of his reach. Let's see. But those things can be fixed. And I've kind of explained that those things they're not appropriate. So maybe that'll help a little bit of them. But another suggestion that I'm getting is you need a crate for this one for when you're out of the home. So definitely make sure that you have that set up before you get him. But I do think that this would be an okay match if you can deal with some of those things like what I just said. As far as Daisy goes, there's always an adjustment period when you're adding another dog into the home. With all of the dogs, it can take months for them to really get acclimated to each other, because if you think about it, you're not just dealing with a new dog coming into the home, but you're dealing with that dog has no idea where it is, what's going on, who these people are, who these other animals are. And so it takes time for them to establish their like dominance level or whatever. I have a feeling that he's very submissive, so I'm not too worried about it. I don't feel like he's going to try and put up a fight if Daisy gets upset. But there will be times that you will see that Daisy and the other dogs kind of have to set their boundaries. And that's really normal. We went through that here when we brought Betty in.
Yeah.
It took a while, and I was worried at first with Sabbath because they didn't like each other so much at first, and now they're the best of friends. So it just takes time and patience. And I will tell Daisy as well, if this is what you decide, let me know. Usually when I do a reading like this, I will send the person the Google, what do you call it, send them the link to it in Google so that they can listen to it before it's actually published, because she's going to meet him, or this might happen on Sunday. So she'll have this before Sunday, even though most other people won't. So what I'd like you to do, Shannon, is let me know before you go out and pick this dog up so that I can let everybody know what's going on. And that will help the situation so much, too, when you're preparing the other animals for what is going to happen instead of it just being a giant surprise. Yeah. It really, really helps the situation. So there you go.
Very cool.
I hope that helps, and congratulations.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yes.
Cute puppy.
Yeah, very cute, huh? I don't know what kind of dog, but...
It's like a mix.
Yeah, a mix of some kind, like a shepherd mix, but adorable.
Yeah.
A lot of energy, though. Woo. Yeah. Okay, and then before we start, let's give our info.
Do it.
Okay, so you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I have very exciting news, is that my radio show starts on the 16th, which is, 12 days away. Oh, my gosh.
Ow.
Yeah, wow.
Exciting.
Yes, it's very exciting. It felt like it came on really fast. They told me too, because there was months in between. It's gonna come on really fast. So, yep. So we'll give you more information about that coming up, and then for you, sir.
Awesome. For my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yay!
All right then. Episode 182. Perfection is a myth.
Perfection is not just a myth, but it is an illusion.
Yes.
It really doesn't exist. At least here on Earth in human form. Perfection is possibly what you would consider the other side to be.
Do you have the dictionary definition?
I don't, but I can look it up.
Yeah, because I'd be interested. My biggest thing about the concept of perfection, or the word, what do we have it to base off of?
Right.
What is the standard?
Right.
Because
Exactly.
I feel like whoever, was sitting under a volcano spewing lava and rock, or sitting in the middle of the eye of a tornado and thought, oh, well, this is perfect.
Right?
So
Lovely.
there are levels of things that just aren't perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Why the human body can't scratch its own back. This might be an imperfection. You know, who am I to judge? But I definitely think, what is the standard?
Right.
We have nothing to base it off of.
Yes, exactly.
So therefore, how could that exist?
Exactly. That's why it's an illusion, because there are no standards. Absolutely. So the definition of perfection is the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. Well, come on. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Let's go on.
That's interesting definition.
Yeah. So perfection is also about your perception, which is kind of like what you were saying, because it doesn't really have set rules. It just kind of is your own perception. It's often related to the ideals that we set for ourselves or that are dictated by the social norms, not actually even by logic.
No.
Some of the things that we think that we're supposed to be perfect on, it's like, how do you even possibly, like, let's talk about like women and body, okay? And you hear so often that even with men, but women, they want the perfect body to attract the perfect man, right?
Right.
But your body as it is might be what that man likes. So it might not be perfect for you, but it might be perfect for that person, which is still really a bad word, because perfect doesn't really exist. Right. But you might look at yourself as being flawed, and somebody else doesn't look at it like that. So that's why it's about perception,
right,
and not even logic most of the time.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if we could learn as a society to put or replace that word with satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because if you're satisfied, then that's perfect.
That's right. It's perfect to you.
If that actually did exist, the term perfection. But yeah, because I still don't know what to base it off of.
Exactly. That's right. Many people are in the pursuit of perfection. They want the perfect body, perfect job, perfect marriage, perfect family life, or to be perfect in their own actions, or even to be spiritually perfect. This has been a hard lesson for me. I can't say that I really thought like, oh, I have to be perfect in every single way, like in my head said that to myself. But at the same time, I have put things on myself that standards I couldn't live up to, that I just couldn't. And so I feel like I was seeking spiritual perfection. And I realized lately, what are you doing?
Right.
That's never going to happen. You will always be human. You will always be flawed, and that's okay.
Right.
And you'll never be spiritually perfect or perfect in any other way. And you know what that's done for me? It's allowed me to relax. Yeah. It's allowed me to not feel like I'm always have to strive for the best of everything. Right. And that's a kind of a big weight lifted off your shoulders.
Well, you said something in there which was interesting to me, was the standard that you put yourself to. Yet we don't know what a base standard of perfection is.
Right.
Because nothing's made the same. Everything, virtually things are different.
Right.
So they all follow different guidelines or laws of what they're doing.
Yes.
And the reason they exist. But again, we're holding ourselves to a standard that in itself is unrealistic, because we don't even know what the base. I don't even believe I'm in a base reality. Right. So what does that mean?
Right. Yep.
I think perfection is for the other side.
I do too.
But when you look at that, is it really perfect on the other side?
Right.
Because our souls still have will have made mistakes.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
To learn.
Yes.
And then we're going back and forth from dimensional. We are dimensional beings. So we can be in this dimension, and then when we pass and go to the other side, we're now at a different dimension, but we're the same soul.
Right.
So if it's a murderer, they're still sitting in heaven after they killed somebody while they were incarnate.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it can't be perfect.
No. And again, what's perfect to you might not be perfect to somebody else.
Right.
Like, for me, I think I felt like being spiritually perfect meant I always had to make the right decisions.
Right.
I always had to know what to do. And that's just not logical. But that is how I was looking at spiritually perfect. Where somebody on the outside may look at somebody that's spiritually perfect as somebody that doesn't swear. And hello, that's not going to happen. Like, I hold myself to my own standards that I know are the right with the universe.
Right.
So if somebody thinks that when you're spiritual that you shouldn't swear and cuss, well, but that's what they may look at as being perfect, where I don't look at it that way. So yeah, who's setting these standards? You're never going to be perfect in the eyes of yourself or anybody else because it doesn't exist. It just flat out does not exist. We tend to push ourselves to the limit and end up far from satisfied in the things that don't go as planned. And therefore, again, we let ourselves down. And the cycle, it's like a constant cycle of letting ourselves down. You know, when you set your expectations for yourself super high and then you don't meet those. And I think, like, for me, a lot of times when I've done that, it makes me quit something. It makes me feel like if I'm not going to be perfect at it, that I'm just not even going to do it. Right. But that's not really, that shouldn't be the way it is, you know? But we just set those expectations so high for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that another thought that I had is as a complete oxymoron to the whole thing, if divinity was perfect, then we are in actuality already perfect because we are of that design. You know, that's where we come from.
That's a valid point too.
However, so many of these things growing up, like about, especially for girls or sometimes even guys, like needing to fit into this category of whatever it is and putting ourselves to certain standards and then doing things to ourselves that are unhealthy.
Yes.
In order to be striving for some particular idea of perfection that when we really look at it, we're not actually even sure where that comes from.
Right.
It's like a process that you absorb it over years.
It's strange.
Until it's sort of implanted in you. And yeah, you could blame a lot of it on media, and things like that. But
yeah, those ideals that are set for us by things like media or parents with high expectations or whatever it may be. So I asked our listeners, would you consider yourself to be a perfectionist? And 56% said yes. Yeah. Sunshine said, I definitely consider myself a perfectionist, but I set the bar way too high, then kick myself when I don't reach my goal. Yeah. Super unhealthy habit I'm working on. Please tell me I'm not the only one like this. And that's what I was just talking about a minute ago.
Not at all.
No. But why do we do that? Why do we want to set the expectations so high for ourselves? Right. It's like we have some friends that got married a couple of weekends ago, and she worked so hard on this wedding, the bride. And then when she posted some pictures the next day, she said something along the lines of nothing ever goes as planned, but I was reminded that nothing's ever perfect. Yeah. It just isn't supposed to be perfect, but a lot of times we let that get us down when it doesn't go as planned. And then, I think even when we set our expectations that high for other things and then it doesn't go as planned, the next time we're not as excited. So it's like, don't set the bar so high for yourselves or for situations, because then you'll enjoy things more.
Having a goal is great, I think. I mean, something to strive for, work towards. But a standard can be very damaging. Yeah. Confusing and damaging. Yep. Because you might be looking at this standard and then comparing it to your neighbor's standard. Yes. And then wondering if your standard's higher or lower. Yep. And, it's kind of like parenting. There's no manual in any of this. And so I go with, if we're kind of walking around not realizing that we are actually indeed something of the divine nature and energy, and we're trying to find our identity, forgetting where we really come from, we're putting all these things in front of us that necessarily don't have to be
Right.
like standards.
Right.
When the whole idea of this idea of life is to just merely have experiences
Right.
and learn from it. So perfection or mastering of anything to me is just out of the question.
It is.
And not to say I've never been there in my life, but now it's out of the question. I strive more for the satisfaction.
Yes.
Because when I'm sitting in a moment of being satisfied, it feels perfect.
Yeah.
You feel free, content.
You're right.
Like, so, but if I start to take whatever it is I'm satisfied with and then compare it to somebody else's,
Yes.
then I start jacking myself all up.
Absolutely. Yep. Never compare yourself to your neighbor because usually isn't what it looks like anyways.
No.
You know?
And there was something in there too that you were talking about early on in this episode about the perfect marriage or the perfect job. Somebody, anybody, I wish we had a hotline right now that you could call me, tell me what the perfect marriage is.
Yeah.
Tell me what the perfect family life is.
Right.
Tell me what the perfect job is.
Right.
I want to hear it.
Yeah. That's right.
Tell me that it's perfect 365 days of the year for your entire life.
That's not possible.
It's not.
It doesn't work like that. It's not supposed to work like that. I think we forget.
Because you wouldn't learn anything.
No, you wouldn't learn anything. Yeah, that's what we're here for. We're here to learn things. And if everything was hunky-dory all the time, that wouldn't happen. And you know what? A perfect marriage to one person isn't a perfect marriage to another person. So again, where are you setting the standards?
Right.
If you're looking for perfection in something like a relationship, it's never going to happen. You have to lower your expectations because that's how life goes. You know, you have to take the good with the bad. There's going to be bad times, there's going to be good times. And that's, you know, as close to perfect as it's going to get, really. So I just had told you guys that 56% of the listeners in our discussion group said that they consider themselves to be perfectionists. Well, now let's hear this one, because I asked them, in your opinion, does perfection exist? And 76% said no, and 24% said not while we are in human form.
Right.
But not one of you said yes.
Right.
But 56% of you said that you expect perfection from yourself.
That shows you the type of games that we play on our own psychological way with ourselves.
Yes. Exactly.
It shows you
It
right
does.
there in numbers. That's not bashing people. I'm glad that people voted because it shows a great example of what is this thing that we can't see.
Right.
That's perfection.
Yep.
Yet we want to say it doesn't exist because we know it doesn't exist.
Right.
At least not right here, right now.
Yep. We really couldn't learn if everything was perfect.
You wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. For me, I'll give you an example. Marina, my stepdaughter, I have personally tried to do the best that I could without having the guidance of a mother myself, because my mom wasn't really a mom to me. And I can look back and I can see mistakes that I've made along the way. And I know that I'm not perfect, but you know what? Those mistakes have helped me to learn. They've helped me to change myself along the way. If I would have sat there and expected myself to be perfect all the time, because sometimes even now I do, sometimes I catch myself being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said something this way, or I shouldn't have done that, and I wasn't perfect in this situation. Well, that's good. I wasn't supposed to be perfect in that situation because I wouldn't learn anything. I wouldn't change anything about myself. And yeah. You need those moments to change yourself and to work on those things.
Yeah.
So setting that perfectionism standard for yourself is just denying yourself the chance to learn and grow.
Yeah, there's this really good quote I learned from a guy I used to work with, and it was, take it easy.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, then I asked our listeners, in what areas of your life do you strive for perfection? And number one answer was always doing the right thing. And I totally understand this because I really was stuck in that perfection trap myself for a while, that I felt like anytime that I would make the wrong decision, oh my gosh, I did the wrong thing. I was really upset with myself for it, instead of just realizing that that's how this is going to go.
Yeah.
So that's, a lot of us don't even attempt to keep moving on in certain things if we feel like we've failed at it or whatever, because we're looking for that perfection.
Yeah.
You're not going to be perfect in all things in your life, in anything in your life, really. Yep.
No.
And then the second one was family. Family will never, ever be perfect. Do you know why? Family is one of our biggest lessons on this planet.
Right.
I think for all of us. I mean, I know we don't all face the same things, but I have not talked to one person on this path that doesn't have some kind of family issue, whether it's internal, like in, their marriage or their kids, or on the outside, their parents, their siblings, whatever. Family is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be, because that we learn the most from it when it is.
Well, we each are infallible. So that's just one of us. And then you get a room full of them.
Yeah,
it's just,
totally.
It's destined to not be perfect.
Totally.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's a room full of people learning something.
Yep.
It's souls, you're learning about this thing called love, unconditional love.
Yep.
And sometimes that is, not only is it really hard to receive, but it's hard to give sometimes too.
Absolutely.
Especially when it's a family member that maybe you're not a fan of.
Yes. Yeah. And it's okay to not. And for some of us, that's our lesson, is you don't have to put up with this stuff. And your family isn't going to be perfect. It's just not. So the next ones on the list were tied. We had relationships and career. And again, relationships are never going to be perfect. You have two imperfect people trying to make a relationship work. How can it be perfect?
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's not supposed to be perfect. And I think like for me, I mean, I know it's not perfect, but our relationship for me feels like it's close enough. I'm satisfied, like what you were saying. I know that it's never going to be 100% perfect. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But for me, I'm satisfied with it, that I could say for me it's fine, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But again,
I
there's
agree.
still things that we could always change and do better at, or whatever.
However, we both come from a place where we've had other relationships, even other marriages, but other relationships as well, to kind of base this one a little bit off of, and realize that I've grown.
Yeah.
I've changed. I couldn't, if I were to jump into the perfect relationship for my first relationship,
Right.
what am I going to learn? So it's all compromise.
Yeah.
Compassion, understanding, compromise. And when I get to this one, looking back at all the rest, then I go, yeah, I'm satisfied.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. And so many people stay in relationships where they're not satisfied.
Right.
And I hear a lot of times from people, the reason that they do that is because they don't want to fail. And, they want from the outside for things to look like it's perfect. And that's why you can't trust what you see on social media and all of that. And you can't trust even what people put out. And so you shouldn't try and emulate anybody or be like anybody else or be jealous of anyone else and think their life is perfect.
Right.
Because you're only seeing a snapshot of what their life is like. And you have no idea what goes on the other 99.99% of the time.
Don't be afraid to fail.
No.
I honestly, as hard as that is, even in my own life and some of my own defeats.
Yep.
But really, it's the truth, because when you get back up, the whole landscape can be much different. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan of Bob Ross, and he always says there's no mistakes, happy accidents.
Happy accidents. Love Bob Ross.
Yeah.
And then career was tied with that one. And To me, like, one of the best ways that I was able to get out of that needing to have the career perfectionism is reminding myself that I'm constantly growing and learning, and that you never are good at something the first time that you try it, or especially not even close to being perfect.
Right.
And so you have to learn, you have to grow, you have to make mistakes, even in your career. Even, there's always those risks, like with a small business owner or whatever, like with my pet sitting business. I was always nervous about doing something wrong or, whatever, because I don't want to get a bad review. Because you get a bad review and that can ruin your whole business really, really quickly. Yeah. So I always tried to be perfect in everything that I did. And do you have any idea how stressful that was?
Yeah.
That was very stressful.
Yeah, because you're dealing with other people's homes and
their animals.
And...
Yeah, I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. And you know what? Occasionally I would make a mistake. Maybe I'd forget something, forget to bring the mail in, or whatever it would be. And I would just have to apologize. Sorry, I make mistakes and I apologize, and I'll do a better job next time, instead of expecting perfection from myself. And, yeah. Because it takes time. Everything takes time in career to learn what you're supposed to be doing and all of that as well,
All takes time.
It all takes time, yes. And then there was spiritual perfection, which we've talked about as well. I don't think that we should expect spiritual perfection from ourselves at all.
No.
Because the universe expects us to be imperfect. So we're just setting a standard for ourselves that we can't meet, and they don't expect us to meet at all. That's definitely an epiphany that I had recently. I remember telling you that hearing my mom say to me, "We don't expect you to be perfect."
No.
And that was like, whoa, wait.
No, they expect us to come into this life and make lots of mistakes.
Yep.
But enjoy every bit of it.
Yep.
Like enjoy the victory and the defeat.
Yep.
That seems like a hard thing for us to understand, enjoying defeat. It's not so much the actual action of the defeating that I'm enjoying. It's the realization afterwards, or what I've learned that could maybe potentially keep that from happening again.
Absolutely.
Whether I apply it the next time around or not, it's my choice. But I can almost say every time that I've had a failure or made a huge mistake, I have learned something very significant from that.
Absolutely.
And that's all in the essence of imperfection, like
absolutely
swirling around.
Yep. So I have a couple of examples of what I would consider toxic perfectionism here.
Yeah.
We were talking about the family, and family is ranked very high on what people want to be perfect about. But if you're trying to raise perfect children, you're setting a standard that may be impossible for your children to meet even, which can cause a lot of damage and stress. If you're looking for your child to always bring home A+s on everything and they can't falter from that, you're setting the expectations too high. They're never going to be perfect. They have to make decisions that they want to make, and they have to have things happen that go the wrong way, and all of that. We can't expect for them to be perfect. And when we start trying to put that kind of pressure on our children, that's what makes them anxious adults and think that they have to be perfect all the time. They need to be allowed to be children and to make mistakes.
Yeah.
For sure. The other one that I had is that model on the cover of the magazine. Because you have so many women that look at that model, what Victoria's Secret model or whatever you want to talk about, and they see this perfect body, or what the standards say are perfect. And that is that's not the truth, first of all, because we all know that those magazine covers, those pictures inside, they are all highly airbrushed. So what you're seeing is not actually reality.
Right.
So that perfection that you think that person is, it's not even real. It's a part of the illusion. But that body is most likely not even perfect to that model. That model probably has been through so much with having to stay thin, and the expectations that have been set so high for them that they're messed up in their head and think that their body is less than perfect. it's amazing to me when I see like really thin women that think that they're fat because they have, you know, a little poochie here or they've gained 2 pounds or whatever. And it's like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Right.
Like, just enjoy your life and
It's
stop
sad.
stressing so much. It is.
That's a huge problem in society. Is that one in particular
It is
a huge problem.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Right.
Because there are so many men and women alike that they see these types of standards that society is setting, and they can't meet them. I've never been able to meet society standards for what somebody is supposed to look like. I'm 5 feet tall. I've always been chubby. I have super white skin.
But I love you.
Thank you. And that's a part of my point, is that he loves me exactly the way that I am. I may not be perfect to you, but you're satisfied. I'm close enough to perfect for you.
Yes.
The right person will feel that way. The right person won't be like, oh, you're gross naked or whatever. They just won't.
Right.
And that's, you know, but those are things also that we put into our head. Like a lot of women, they don't even want to get completely naked around even their spouse because they're ashamed of their body, while their spouse is going, I really wish you just would, because I love you the way that you are. But their insecurity for themselves, because they're not perfect, makes them kind of hurt the relationship there by holding back.
I'm happy to see that in some cases they're making efforts to be different about that.
Yes.
So when you see the plus size models or the mannequins that are plus size, I love that. I think it's because, first of all, not every man is into, you know, the super skinny anorexic kind of look.
Right.
So you're appealing to the masses by doing it, you know, showing different sizes and different skins and different ages, you know, all those things are important, because we're not a mass of people that look one way.
That's right. And when I said a little bit ago about that Victoria's Secret model, that was kind of a bad example now, because Victoria's Secret and Pink, they have really opened themselves up to the sizes and all inclusive, and, you know, the men are modeling for them now.
But that's more recent.
Trans
they were following the trend before.
Yes, but they've let that go a lot. And even like shops, like plus size shops like Torrid, they were putting, like, they would say, okay, she's 6 feet tall, but she's thin, and they would say she's plus size and put her in plus size clothes. Well, now they're actually using plus size models that are, you know, on the bigger side. So you can actually see what the clothes looks like on plus size women. And that's the way it should have always been. But society has not allowed that. And that's just sad. So I'm glad to see that there are, like you said, some things changing in there. And I hope that as society progresses and things are changing in like this new generation, that some of this will go away. And we won't be so much into this, oh, you have to have this type of body for you to be considered to be beautiful. Because that's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Something else that I had put in relation to this, the children, and even in this situation with the model, is that young and insecure and unstable people can especially be blinded by the idea of being perfect. This is one way that the quest for perfection can become dangerous. These types of people start doubting themselves and maybe even their worthiness to be perfect. They have been taught to believe it's impossible to reach perfection, so they set themselves up for failure. So we have to stop teaching people that this is what they're supposed to fit into, because nobody's supposed to fit into a little box of perfection that we set for them. They're just not supposed to. And really, perfection is not natural, and it's really not desirable, because when you hit perfection, what else is there?
And, you know, when you're around somebody that strives for that, it's not very pleasant either.
Yep. The world is full of people trying to obtain perfectionism. It really is. But if instead of trying to be perfect, if we would put things more into the creative side of things and visionary type things, making, you know, more things outside of the box and trying to go less with society's norms, that really make a difference, you know, in society in a lot of different ways, for sure. So let's see what else in my notes that we haven't talked about yet. Nobody, no situation, nothing about life is ever perfect. It's just not. And if we can accept that, now we will live happier, healthier lives instead of continuing to go on and think this has to be perfect. The more we get used to this fact, the more relaxed we will become with life. And really, that was like I said, a very strange epiphany that I've realized lately. And once you take that pressure off yourself, once you lift that weight off of your shoulders, it seems to, I'm not going to say I've got a new lease on life or anything, but it's relaxed me in that area. It really has. I don't have to be spiritually perfect.
Right.
You know, we have a podcast. I do readings, all of these things. People think that you're supposed to be perfect in this area because you have this kind of stuff going on, and that's just not how this works at all.
No.
And so I can't set those standards for myself.
I think the experience for us has just made us slow down a little bit more to think about your next move or statement, kind of. You know, it's not like I'm putting everything under the microscope in my life, but on a general, I'm trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
Will I always? No.
Right.
But I know in my mind that that's what I'm striving for, is to try to do the right thing.
Yes, absolutely.
But I know that I will fall short. So I look at the world being full of so many people striving for perfection, which is a perception-based myth, that we have no standard or base level to compare anything off of. How long do you think you're going to be striving for that?
Yeah.
Like, forever.
Yep, that's right. Absolutely. So some of the things that we can do to try and get rid of some of the perfectionism, you know, give ourselves a little bit of a break and understanding that we are human. And one of those things is lowering our expectations of ourselves.
Yeah.
It means not pushing ourselves to be perfect, to understand that we are going to make mistakes. That's all a mental mind game. And, you know, one of the things that makes all of this difficult is that for me, I've realized that the way that I look at things is just the way that I look at things.
Yeah.
Other people are not seeing things the same way that I do. So they may see me not striving for perfection and think that I'm not applying myself or whatever.
Right.
That's their standard. That's whatever they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Where other people look at me and go, oh my gosh, look at what she's done.
Right.
Everybody looks at things differently. So I try to set my expectations reasonably for myself. You know, there's things that I would love to accomplish in my career. I know it's not going to happen overnight, and I know I'm never going to be perfect at it. So I have to cut myself some slack.
Right.
You know, we all need to do that.
Yep.
And I know that sounds bad, the lowering your expectations. How's that good? But it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're trying to find the easy way out or, you know, whatever. It just means that you understand that you're not going to be perfect. You're just not.
And by doing that, I think you'll be more satisfied or more surprised more times than you're not.
Right. We talked a little bit about this one, and that's to stop comparing yourself to others.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have absolutely no idea what's going on in that person's life.
No.
You know, there's been times that I've had, like, been having a bad day, and somebody might message me and say, oh, I wish that, you know, I was a psychic and I could do the things you do. But you don't understand that it's not all fun and games all the time. It may look like it's perfect. It may look like, you know, this kind of job is great and everything from the outside. But on the inside, I have my own struggles that I have to deal with. I absorb everybody's energy. Right. You know, there's a lot of things that people don't see. And it's like that. It's like that with all of us,
right.
With everything that we do, is that you're only seeing a snapshot of that person's life,
right.
You know, their relationship, whatever. And people might, you know, they try and cover up like, oh yeah, my relationship is perfect. There's no problems. There's nothing that I would change. And that's not true. That's them trying to put up smoke screens so that you think that it's perfect. But on the inside, these people are struggling just as much as everybody else. I wish that we could be more honest with each other about what our struggles actually are.
Yeah.
And and stuff, because I think that it would help people to understand that, you know, you don't have to be perfect and your life doesn't have to look like it's perfect, because it's not. You know,
No.
It's okay to talk about the downsides of your life just as much as you talk about the upsides.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we see that a whole lot, you know?
No.
Yep. And then let's see, last on my list was trying to be perfect sets you up for failure. So, again,
Yep.
don't
It
try
will.
and set your expectations too high. Don't set yourself up for failure. You know, I don't know. It's a big topic, and I feel like there's so many different areas that we could look at this from, the perfectionism myth. But in general, I think we just have to, be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Gentle with ourselves and understanding with ourselves. And the universe doesn't expect us to have these expectations set so high. They don't have the expectations set that high. And I think we need to remember that too, that a lot of times, whatever it is, whether it's God, the universe, the source, whatever it is that you call it, a lot of us feel like we've let it down when we've done something wrong.
No.
But that entity loves us just the way that we are and isn't judging us. There is no God judging us. It's just not happening that way. We've been taught that there is a God judging us. And I think that could be another reason why a lot of people feel like they need to be perfect.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If you've been brought up that way, that is definitely a tough one. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think that that's the case at all.
No.
I think look at how many, if we were to even guesstimate how many millions of years the universe has been around, and what the amount of time it's taken for it to become what it is.
Yep.
But we come into this life in a big ass hurry.
Yep.
But everything takes time, and so you got to give yourself a break. Whether it's like letting yourself slide for something imperfect once a day, okay. But the next time that happens, I'll try to do it different.
Yeah, that's really what it is, okay, I messed up this time on this, but next time I'm going to try and do better.
Right. That's what the universe wants from us.
Yes.
Not to do something and go, I don't care.
Yep.
They deserve it.
Yep.
Or that kind of attitude. Then you're not learning.
Yep. And it really is, it's a big perception change. And that was something that I just heard, is it's about changing your perception. And one of the examples that I was given is a good friend of mine. I think I've mentioned this before. She always points out her cankles. Every time I see her, she's like, my cankles, my cankles. Do you know I never would have noticed it if she wouldn't have pointed it out? But that's her perception that she's imperfect because of her cankles. And so for whatever reason, she wants to point it out to people so that they know immediately that she's imperfect, which is interesting to me, But I never would have noticed it. That's just perception. That
Exactly.
really is. So you just never know what that person's ideals and perception of perfection are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
whatever it is, get away from it.
So there you have it, France.
Very good.
Yes.
Good job.
Yeah. So our next episode, I thought that we should tell our listeners.
Okay.
Our next episode is going to be all readings. We're going to be going on vacation, finally.
Yay.
We haven't been on vacation.
Hawaii.
Yeah. So we will be doing just readings. And I won't be able to, read anything back from this week, next week. Mm-hmm. So it'll just be, readings. It'll be fun. Yeah.
It'll be fun.
But we will miss you guys.
But we'll put
we're gone.
the song for your new radio show at the end of next week's episode.
End of next. Okay, cool. Very good.
So just to add a little extra something.
Remind me for that.
Yeah.
When we do that. So yeah, cool. Very good. So
awesome.
Keep an eye out for that one. And then, the radio show that starts on the 16th.
Yes.
So that, if you would like to listen to that, you can find that on Voice America on the Empowerment Channel. It's internet radio. You just go there and you'll see 10 a.m. Wednesday mornings, every Wednesday, starting on the 16th.
VoiceAmerica.com.
VoiceAmerica.com, yeah. And I'll also post the links and stuff, but it is live and then it is replayed. So if you miss it live, don't worry about it. I will post the link to listen later.
Cool.
Most people do listen on demand. They don't listen live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very good.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you.
Me too. I'm excited. So.
Cool. Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, you want to share your information one more time?
Yes, so you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can set up a reading there or get some more information about me and what I do. If you'd like to reach us at the show, you can email us spiritualjoneses@gmail.com or find us on social media at spiritualjoneses. Don't forget about the discussion group. We have a great discussion group.
Yes, we do.
You can find that by searching on Facebook, Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses discussion group.
Yay.
Yay. And then you, sir.
Thank you. For my art, one more time, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And that's all I got.
Yay.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this.
We do.
I did. It's a good reminder.
Yes.
Go out and let yourself be imperfect.
Yes.
It's okay.
It's okay. Lower your expectations of yourself.
Just try to do good.
Yes.
That's it.
That is it.
And we hope everybody has a great week.
That we do.
And until next week,